3 years ago, I took a vow of celibacy. I made a lifelong promise with myself that I would remain disengaged from sexual pursuits. The reason I have done this is for the spiritual path I have chosen to walk in this lifetime. Some people choose to play the game of creating family, of raising children. I myself have no desire to do that. And because carnal desire has proven to lead to plenty of surprises and conflicts and fears and messes, I find no reason to have sex, to spend any time, energy, effort looking for some kind of orgasm, some kind of sexual partner. Now, this is a very unpopular take, because for the most part, we're in a world where people want to fuck like cats and dogs. People think the holy grail of experience lies in the domain of their carnal desire and pursuits. So it's very rare to hear a man, a straight man who could have a sexual partner, saying, you know what, I actually have no interest in it. And that's really the ultimate reason why. I find nothing interesting about having sex. I find that many of us are chasing phantoms when we're chasing tail, when we're going after the groin area. And for those of us who are pornography watchers or masturbators, there's a similar relationship with the object of desire. The point is, a lot of us have a very dysfunctional relationship with sexuality. A lot of us are driven by this force, and that means we're being driven by nature. We're being driven by our animalistic side. We have an animal side to us, and we have a divine side to us. And it's pretty clear that most people treat themselves more like beasts than gods. They treat themselves as creatures who should just drink, eat, smoke, fuck, copulate, reproduce. And this might be the journey some souls choose to take. I mean, go for it. I'm not here to tell you to be celibate. I'm explaining why I have taken a vow of celibacy. In the past, I have had many sexual relationships. I have. And some of them have been great. Some of them were ridden with conflict. But overall, my experience is sexual appetites, when not controlled, can really mess people up, can really lead to mental and physical diseases. Dis-ease is so common in the sphere of the birds and the bees, right? The joke is on the creature who thinks their fulfillment lies in another person's groin, another person's sexual energy. So personally, I have no need to externalize my sexual energy because I'd rather build it up inside of myself. As a man, and I can only really speak from the perspective of a man, I know how it feels to let go of my seed. It feels awful. Masturbation leads to a weakening of one's spirit. This I am certain of. If we spill the cup of Hermes, If we let go of this sacred essence, then we can't build up the kind of spiritual fortitude, integrity, and discipline necessary to find liberation and to achieve liberation. I guess those are the same thing, but you know what I mean. One's lustful desires inevitably gets in the way of one's liberation. Do you want to find freedom? A lot of people think it sounds good, but in order to demonstrate to reality that you actually wish to disconnect from the tomfoolery here on earth, well, it takes sacrifice. We're going to suffer. What are you going to suffer for? Some people have ridiculed my vow of celibacy. Some people have tried to test my vow of celibacy as if it's not a vow. And I think it's very funny. People don't really know what they're doing when they're chasing their own carnal appetites. They think they do, they don't. Many children are accidents. Many people decide to go after the booty, the penis, whatever opening or orifice they find amusing, and all of a sudden they find themselves in turmoil. They find themselves in arguments. They find themselves objectifying others or feeling objectified. I mean, it is a war. It is an absolute battlefield when we're talking about the landscape of sexual activity. Maybe, just maybe, we have been fooled and or have fooled ourselves. That sex, that copulation, that orgasms, that these things are like the greatest experiences we can have. If we can be more self-contained and not allow our fulfillment to require the sexual energy of another or the sequence of pornographic images that can make us feel oh so excited for a moment. If we can disconnect from all of this chasing, we can begin to find there is a beautiful inner world. And this inner world can only be known when we build up our own reservoir of sexual energy and transmute it and interact with it. Be self-contained. I would like to be self-contained as much as possible. I would like to nurture my mind, body, and soul, and not just treat myself as an animal. I've already had plenty of sex. I've already had relationships where I go in and out of various holes, and, I know that sounds very funny, but, that is kind of how I see things now. I would like to elevate my soul using the medium of this lifetime, and I know what I do has an effect. And I know that there are many games we can play here. Once again, I do not need or want to play the game of creating new beings here, continuing the cycle of birth and death. I am very, very much serious about my exit from this matrix. I am very much serious about achieving liberation and using the gift of this lifetime in order to do that. This is the road less traveled. We can only find value in something like celibacy when we realize the other option isn't automatically better. I mean, everyone is suffering here on earth, whether you're celibate, whether you're having sex, whether you want a partner, whether you don't want a partner. We like to have a grass is always greener mentality, especially when it comes to sex. If only I get this partner, or if only I don't know, masturbate to this video, then maybe I'll feel some kind of peace or solace. That's actually what one thinks, unbeknownst to them, when they're going after these temporary excitements. What comes up must go back down. And maybe, just maybe, this intense desire to have sex is not personal. Maybe it is the animalistic side of us trying to override the divinity. You and I both know there is this internal tug of war always between the beast and the god. So who is going to win? Well, I'm going to make sure the god wins. Because the animal side of me will eventually crumble, will eventually fade. There's a reason why people have a certain season of sexual attractiveness. There's a reason why that fades, is because everything about the physical, everything about matter is temporary. And so the more we cling to the temporary, the more we give away our own sense of satisfaction to these supposed exciting pursuits, the more lost as souls we become. A lot of people will say, well, you have sex because it's fun, or it helps you connect with your partner, or maybe there's some kind of spiritual light that can be shared through that interaction. Well, I just don't want to. I find much more satisfaction in maintaining my own essence. I consider my sexual energy my creativity. I consider my sexual energy mine and mine alone. My inner world is of utmost importance when it comes to my spiritual path. And through building up my sexual energy, I find it so much easier to connect with wisdom, with Sophia, with a kind of beauty that even the greatest of sex can't touch. Children are not sexual creatures. Be as children seems to be the greatest wisdom. Be as children. How can we be as children? Well, maybe through giving up the things that twist us into adulterated creatures, adults. So, I think I've made it very clear. I am a celibate man, and I shall be celibate for the rest of my life.